So, there are two types of guitar players. There are those who like to learn and play a song all the way through to the end, and then there are those who like to play the first 17 seconds of pretty much every song you've ever heard. And today in this video we're going to be talking about those two habits and where they can kind of lead your guitar playing in the medium and long term. Personally, I of course recommend everybody to adopt the habit of learning and playing songs all the way to the end, even if that means actually overall less time spent playing. And even if you've always done this, stick around anyway, because I think understanding the reasons why we do and don't do certain habits can really put things into perspective and serve as kind of motivation. So let's get into it. So what are some of the most valuable teachings that come with learning a song all the way through to the end? Well, for one, you develop a pretty good memory, because even within a single style, song structures can differ vastly. And, you know, some songs, they don't have a chorus. Some songs don't have an intro. Some have a guitar solo. Some have 3 guitar solos. It is true that most songs follow that classic verse, chorus, bridge, chorus structure, but most songs put their own spin on it, adding in bars or taking them away in places. Sometimes the bars last different amounts of time. Sometimes the hardest part of a song is the transition from one section to the next, and when you nail it, it feels amazing. So why would you want to take that away? Why deprive yourself of that feeling of accomplishment? If you've ever wanted to perform with friends, either on stage or even just in a bedroom somewhere, then it's essential that you have the confidence in your memory that you can handle multiple, 4-minute songs with all of their unique structural characteristics. It's also the case of your hand's stamina, because playing through an entire 4-minute song with 3 or 4 different sections really tires your hands out when you first learn to do it. And if you do it all the time, you know how it feels when you've had a break and you come back to it and you go through that process all again. So getting used to that will kind of really increase the amount of stamina your hands have, meaning you can play for longer in one session. It also helps put into perspective how consistently you can play a certain part, because if you can start a song from the beginning and be confident that you can nail that bridge or guitar solo 3 minutes into the song, then you know that you've really accomplished something. It's easy to see why people get into the habit of learning only one section of a song, because I can imagine that the intro to Stairway to Heaven or Enter Sandman have inspired countless people to actually pick up the guitar and start learning in the first place. And for a beginner guitar player, I think it's actually a very sensible idea to not be too ambitious and to just focus on one part, because you're still working on your sense of rhythm and your technique, and if you're too ambitious and decide to learn too much, you're really going to burn yourself out and your motivation is going to be called into question. So for a beginner, I think that it does make sense to really just try and nail one section of a song. However, for anybody who's past this stage and has enough of a developed ear and technique to get yourself through the average iconic guitar intro, I think this is a very fast way to reach a plateau and actually deprive yourself of a lot of potential improvement on the instrument. I always imagine a graph when it comes to skills like guitar playing, and vertically is time and horizontally is your skill. And the aim is to always make sure it never goes flat. We all have periods of learning a lot, followed by not learning very much, and then feeling like we've become a really bad player. But this is normal, and it's actually unrealistic to expect to constantly be learning a consistent amount over, several months or years. It's unrealistic to expect learning to be completely linear like that. It never is. Once you've nailed a certain song and you decide to keep playing it, the graph is going to start to flatline. And once you have nailed a certain technique and you keep playing at that level, the graph is going to start to flatline as well. If you don't go out of your way to learn a new skill or combine your skills in ways that you couldn't do before, you are going to stop learning. So of course there's only so much you can expect to learn playing only iconic guitar intros and riffs. Have a think about how this idea affects you. It's something we're probably all aware of at some level, but it's necessary to know how it applies to your playing. The first step to improvement on the guitar always starts with self-awareness. Have you been spending the majority of your playing time on something you're already good at? Or, alternatively, is there something that you really want to get good at that you're just not committing the time to? There's a song I want to talk to you about which I think illustrates my point pretty well about there being a lot of things to learn within a single song on the guitar. Maybe you've already learned it, maybe you've never heard of it, but it's a song I think that everybody should learn at some stage of their guitar journey. The Power of Love by Huey Lewis and the News was recorded for the film Back to the Future, and it's an absolute classic. The song, I mean, not the film. Although I do hear the film's pretty popular too. And if you're a guitar player, you're in for a treat. The song opens with a chunky, distorted power chord riff, we all love those, followed by another riff, which is the verse, then returning on the chorus to the first riff. And about halfway through the song, the bridge hits and the guitar switches up to these long, drawn-out, extended chords. And then it all returns to rock and roll once again as one of the most aggressive and yet sensitive solos at the same time. Is played by guitar player Chris Hayes. There's a lot to unpack and learn from this song, as each section of the song presents its own challenges and has you learning new skills. I could talk about this song all day. Hang on a minute, I can. And I will. The intro and chorus, like a lot of riffs, is a huge test of your right hand dexterity, and in order to kind of really capture the aggression, you should be playing it with a lot of power and with all downstrokes and a load of distortion. The verse riff really keeps you on your feet because your strumming hand is constantly going to be switching from playing 3 strings and playing on 2. And also your fretting hand is going to be moving around and changing positions quite a lot as well. So this one is a little bit of a fiddly riff. The bridge is one of those rare occasions where extended chords are used in a rock song, and they're quite rare in rock, really. So some of these shapes and chord types may actually be completely new to you. You'll also be exercising a lighter touch than in the previous sections, as you've got to strum the chords gently but firmly, and they're kind of drawn out for an entire 4 beats. So if you strum it too hard or too soft, it's going to be much more obvious than in the other sections. So it's kind of a test of how consistently you can play at the right dynamic level. And then there's the moment we've all been waiting for, the guitar solo. Oh. There are bends, slides, vibrato, pull-offs, palm muting, and there's even a pre-bend in there. There's plenty of common and extremely useful sort of emotive inflections in the playing of the solo, and so by learning this you're getting a lot of them in one place. It's not the hardest solo in the world to learn, but it's also not easy to sound exactly like Chris Hayes does on the recording. It's a solo that really pushes your ability to emote on the guitar if you use all those techniques. So there we have it. Remember to learn The Power of Love by Huey Lewis and the News at some point. I hope you found this video helpful and have learned something useful today. Which songs have you learned which have taught you a lot of different skills on the guitar? Why not write a comment down below? I'm a very small channel, and so I see every comment. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more videos from me about how you can improve your abilities as a guitar player. And I'll see you next time.